Hi, this is Debbie from Project 39 Mini Albums. Welcome to part 4 of the Hip Hooray tutorial. Now that you've made the cover, the hinges, and the base pages, we'll start adding features to the pages. In this video, we'll complete the inside front cover, and I'll show you that in just a second. But before we get started, I suggest that you put aside the papers that you'll need for the covers. You will need 2 pieces of this blue solid, one of each design, so just take that and put it aside. And then you'll need this 8x8 confetti paper. We only use a piece that's about 5.5 inches tall, and a piece of the yellow solid that's about 3.5 inches tall by 8 wide. You'll also need, this piece is about 2.25 inches from the 8x8 paper. There is the back, so that's one of the blue, and then that's just another one. That's just a strip, and I'm sure you'll have that from anywhere. And then take a note of all of the different ephemera and chipboard elements. This is a rub-on, that's rub-on. So just grab those, put them aside, and be ready for when we're doing the cover, which is the last, almost the last video. So today we will be doing the inside front cover. What it is a large flap with 2 small pieces on it. We'll be using some of the rub-ons, and I'll show you how to do that. And then the flap has a pocket on it. There's also a photo mat. There is a small flap to the right, and then we'll be doing a waterfall. Now the waterfall doesn't have that much paper on it. It just has some of these small strips of this green striped paper. And there is also a little hidden tuck spot there at the top, and this piece of ephemera. Alrighty, let's get started. Alright, now we're going to start putting in features in the book, starting with the inside front cover. So for the left flap, you'll need a piece that is 11 by 8.5. With the 11-inch side at the top, we're going to score it at 3/4. Score it at 1. And then at 7.5. We're making this extra strong, and we're going to fold this flap over. Let me grab scissors, and we're going to miter. So I'm going to miter this big flap. So start at that 7.5 score line and go just at a slight miter to the edge of the page. And then we're going to miter this 3/4 of an inch tab as well. Before we fold and burnish this, we're going to work on the right flap. So you'll need a piece that's 3.5 by 8.5. You're going to score that with the 3.5-inch side at the top. We're going to score it at 3/4, 1, and at 3. So we're going to miter in a couple places. We're going to miter at this 1/2-inch tab. And at that 3/4 inch tab, you're going to miter. Okay? All right, let me move the scoreboard out of the way. And we're going to fold and burnish. So I turned this so the 3/4 inch tab is at the top. I'm going to first fold at the 1. Not that it matters what order you do it in. And then at the 3/4. And then I'm going to fold at that 1/2-inch tab. And I'm just going to glue it. And the reason I'm doing this is just to strengthen it a little. Now, if you wanted to, you could use heavier weight cardstock for any of the flaps in the book. And also you should have had this piece left over from making the book, making the base pages. All right, so here I'm going to fold it at that 1 inch and then at the 3/4 inch. And then here I will fold that at what was the 7.5 inch. And I'm going to add glue to this big tab. And fold that over. And that's just going to make it nice and strong. All right, grab our book. I know that's the inside front cover because I added that paper in. So this left flap, we're going to add glue to that 3/4 of an inch tab. And you're going to put it all the way to the left. So I'm folding it flat so that that 1/4 inch gusset isn't going to bother me at all. And I'm going to put the 3/4 of an inch tab right on the edge of the book, making sure it's parallel to the edge of the book. Grab my bone folder and burnish, and then I'll open this up and burnish again. And then make sure that tab there. So this is going to stay at a 90-degree angle as best you can. Okay, and then we'll take this other one and I will put glue on that 3/4 of an inch piece, and this is going to go over to the edge of your base, over to the edge of your cover, but not anywhere in that channel between where the cover and the spine is. So again, I'll flatten it out and just stay just to the left of where that channel is. Burnish, open it up and burnish again. Oops, so it moved a little. That's okay. All right, so we've got that. This one's a little wobbly, but once we get in the magnets in the page, it'll train it to go straight. All right, now we've got a piece that is 3.5 by 9.5. It is the inside loading pocket, 3.5 by 9.5. I'm just going to grab my scoreboard. And with the 9.5 side at the top, score it at 1/2 inch and score it at 9. Rotate it, and with the 3.5 side at the top, score it at 3. And then I will drop things, but what I really intend to do is cut across the X caused by those 2 score lines and miter on both sides of our pocket. All right, let's fold and burnish. And this is going to go on the inside of the left flap. So you've got that 1/4 inch gusset. It's going to go to the left of that 1/4 inch gusset. So I'm going to put glue on the long tab, the one on the 9.5 inch side, and glue that down first. Just a smidgen. to the left of that, because we still want this page to open. We don't want to, we put that gusset there for a reason. So we'll burnish, open that up and burnish. And then if you'd like, you can add a piece of Scotch tape, cellophane tape, whatever you want to call it, to keep things so they don't get hung up here if you put them in the pocket. I actually don't have any handy, so I'm going to have to bypass that, and it's not that big of a deal. Especially if you put paper down to cover the entire pocket. We're not going to here, because you don't need to. It gets hidden. All right, and I will put glue on those tabs and glue that down. And there is our pocket. Okay. So far, so good. I'm gonna move the book out of the way. We're gonna make a waterfall. So for the waterfall, you will need 5 pieces that are 6.5 by 5. Oh, nope, not that one. And 1 piece that's 6.5 by 7. The 6.5 by 7, just leave that aside. The pieces that are 6.5 by 5, get out our handy dandy scoreboard again. And with the 5-inch side at the top, score at 4.5 for all 5 of those pieces. Don't miter the corners. All right, my waterfall base, 6.5 by 7, with the 7-inch side at the top. Don't score. You know what we should do? Just fold and burnish on our score lines for all of our waterfalls. But I am again going to use the scoreboard as a surface to make sure things are nice and even. Okay, so I'll move some aside. So I'm going to take, we'll dry fit it first, making sure my waterfall base is to the side and the top of my scoreboard. And our first piece is going to go with the folded tab, and the tab's facing down. It's going to go over to the left side. So I'll add glue. Make sure everything's pushed up and push that first piece down. So it's even here, it's even there. And I'll go ahead and burnish. I really don't need my scoreboard anymore. Once that first piece is done, so I'll open that up and take our next piece, add glue to our tab, and with the top folded line right underneath that last piece, we're going to put this down, making sure it is even on the sides. So once you get it down, burnish. And continue with the other pieces. I love waterfalls. They are a great feature to have in books. You get a lot of bang for the buck. You get a lot of wait, before I talk any further. So this piece is a little wonky. So before I glue it down and continue the wonkiness, I'm going to make sure this is straight along the edge. And this piece here, that tab, is not exactly on the bottom edge of that last waterfall piece. It's more important that it's straight on the sides than it is on the top. I may not have adhered that first piece perfectly well, but that's okay. It's not a big deal. Okay, so anyhow, yes, you get a lot of bang for your buck with a waterfall. And I especially love when I have mini albums that are big enough that I can include lots of 4x6 photo mats. Because if the book ends up, if it goes to or is given to somebody who doesn't know how to crop photos or cut them down or even have a paper trimmer, sometimes it's hard to use the scissors and cut up photos. And it's easier for people to use 4x6 photos because that's what's readily available. That being said, I do allow parts in the book to put in smaller photos. I'm not happy with how that is. I mean, there really is nothing wrong with a 4x4 photo. How many times have you looked at a picture and said, oh my goodness, there is like 3/4 of this picture is sky or a rug or the wall of the living room. All right, now that that's all in, I'm going to turn it over and burnish the back of it. We're not going to put that in the book yet. We're just going to hang on to that. Let's see what we got going on. That is, of course, going to go there. So I have an insert for the pocket that's 4 1/4 by 6 1/4. I'm going to put that in the pocket just so I know where it is. And now I'm going to start decorating the book. Remembering that we still have to put in a magnet. But let me grab my decorative paper and we'll go from there. All right, so for the inside front cover center, I have this paper. It's from the Solids. It's the one with the balloons on it. I cut it down to 7 7/8 by 8 3/8. I am just starting out with making the book, so I want to try to conserve some paper. So I'm going to cut out the center of it because the center is going to be covered with a waterfall. I'm going to turn this over and I'm just going to use the ruler and mark 1 inch on all 4 sides. And then you can use a paper trimmer. You can use a X-Acto. You can make a hole and cut a square in the center, or you could leave it whole. If you're confident that you'll have enough paper, maybe you got extras and you were smart. I actually did get extra, but I want to see what I can do. No, I didn't get extra this paper. In any case, I want to make sure that you will have enough paper as well, even if I did get extra. All right, now I'm going to put it in this big old behemoth paper trimmer and cut as close as I can. Now, this is not a guillotine, and it's not, well, it's not a guillotine. I think it's harder with a guillotine type cutter. And I may cut a little less than what I've already dictated because I'd rather have more. But you know, you see the big square that you'll have out of this when you're all done. I might use that as a photo mat on this page. So again, it's not necessary. It's just because I want to make sure I have enough paper when all's said and done. So I didn't get a complete cut here. I am going to just take my scissors and cut it, because now I have a piece that I can use, I don't know, somewhere. And then we've got this, and I'm going to have the balloon showing. Now you may choose not to, but this will go inside. I'm going to dry fit it first, make sure it's going to look beautiful, which it does. I like having sort of a subtle pattern underneath. So yeah, if you wanted to, you could just have the green. There's some texture on this, on the solids in this set. So you could do that. I'm making sure I'm putting glue along the edge because we are going to have an insert. Alrighty. So again, I know where it's going to go because I dry fitted it. But I want to, again, make sure it's straight. And I like it. Oh, here's a note. I'm not using inking. You may, of course, but I chose not to. It just was easier not to. Okay, now one other note. I am not putting a closure for the waterfall. You know, a lot of times I'll put a magnet here to keep it closed. Because we've got the cover, you really don't need to. If you feel like you want to, then if you've made a waterfall before, you know, I like to score it at maybe 1/2 inch and then have an 1/8 of an inch gusset just so you can get extra pages. But whatever, regardless, if you do that, that's fine. Even if you don't, we're going to glue it down on the two sides and the bottom because we're going to have a little insert in the top. So I will do it now. Add glue all the way down the side. I'm going to do another line just to make sure I get a lot. And I'm going to add glue on the bottom. Okay. And then holding it at the top because there's no glue there, I'm going to again center it. I'm up maybe 5/8 of an inch from the bottom. And about the same on the sides. And then when you feel like you've got it straight, then I'll burnish it gently because I don't want it to move. And then once I know it's down, I'll go ahead and open this and burnish it at each page. So I'm not going to worry about putting something inside. I'm going to let it dry first, and then I will put my waterfall insert inside. But there we go with that. Now let's decorate the front. All right, from the paper called Better Together, one side is this cool stripy thing. Love it. They look like they're sewn. But I'm going to use the flags, and I cut that to 6 by 8 3/8. You're going to have a gap on the right hand side. So we're going to glue it over to the left hand side. I don't have to worry about magnets at this point. We will be putting magnets on a feature on the front of here. But our next step, we'll need to put on magnets. So again, I'm going to put it over to the left with even margin around the whole thing. Now let's open this up. Open up the flap on the right. And so you will have two pieces cut at 1 7/8 from the same paper, the flag paper. 1 7/8 by 8 3/8. Do the inside one first. So that'll fit in nicely. You could do it this way if you wanted to. I chose not to. Alrighty. Okay. Now we have to start thinking about magnets. So I am going to, what's going to happen is we're going to have cut aparts on photo mats here and here. You could do the ribbon side if you wanted to. You could. I'm not, because we're going to add other stuff to that. So, and it's going to be on cardstock. So this bottom flap will be open here. So I know I want to put a magnet. Got to make sure everything's straight. I'm going to put a magnet down towards the bottom. So I am about 2 1/4 inches from the bottom and about 1 1/4 from the side. But if you want to, you can wait, but I want to put it on now so I can put my other paper on top of it. I am using magnets that don't have adhesive. The basic gray magnets are so much easier to work with. I did not get any, and I didn't want to wait to get some in. So I'm going to put down a piece of score tape. Going to put down a magnet. And then I'm going to put my other paper on top. It's the same one. Let's move that all out of the way. Same as what we have on the inside. What did I say? 1 7/8 by 8 3/8. Put glue around the perimeter. Zigzag. Or do circles or swirls or whatever. And then I'll put that right on the top with a 1/16 of an inch gap all around it. I'm going to take my corresponding magnet and put it down just so I don't forget it. The inside of the left flap will have a piece of the balloon paper that is 4 1/8 by 8 3/8. I feel I might have had this left over when I cut down this piece. I'm going to pull out the flap. So that's going to go inside. It's not going to go all the way down. I think that's why I had the weird measurement on it and why I didn't put a full piece in the pocket. I do find that when I put something in a pocket and I don't have it going all the way to the bottom of the pocket, I like to get glue on the sides especially. I mean, not that I wouldn't anyhow, but... And then I carefully put it in. And then make sure it's even with a 1/16 of an inch showing on all 4 sides. I can put that in there now. inside front cover to cover pocket, 2.5 by 8 3/8. Oh, again, you're going to go all the way over to the right because we're going to have a piece there. Don't you love the colors of this? It's not pastel. I mean, you wouldn't call it pastel. They're a little toned down. I just think they're so pretty. It's so vibrant, but not like primary colors. Vibrant. Alrighty. Hip hip hooray, it says. Yay, hip hip hooray. All right, and there is a piece that I cut down from the, what is the name of the paper? Well, this ribbon paper. I did break open another, I did cut down another piece. I went to a second paper and cut that down. And this is going to go right up against our last piece. I feel like it finishes it off nicely. So we'll go ahead and add glue to this. Put it down right up next to that last piece. Bottom is perfect. Top is perfect. I love that detailing. What about you? How do you like that? All right, and then we've got that insert for the pocket. When I cut this piece, you know, it's 12 inches long. I had a piece left over that is 3 5/8, I guess, approximately. I'm going to cut this in half. Doesn't have to be perfect. The part that I cut is going to go at the top and at the bottom because we're going to hide the rest of it. Now you could have cut another piece or used something else. I was looking at the stickers, but I just decided I wasn't going to use the stickers. Meaning they just didn't fit what I was going for. But it's okay that we have a gap because we're going to cover that with our cut aparts. All right, so I have this cut apart that says Hip Hip Hooray, and I thought that was appropriate because we've got the flags, the banner paper, and then you should have two pieces that are 6 1/4 by 4 1/4. So let's take one and adhere this. Hip hip hooray. Don't do the other one yet. We're going to doctor it up first. Love that. Glad there's a second piece that comes with the set, as well as I have the 8 by 8. But I love it so much. All right, we'll put this on and center it. So on this, in this case, usually I like a 1/16 of an inch. For some reason with cut aparts, I go for about an 1/8 of an inch. If you like to have 1/16 of an inch, you could have cut this down to, was it 4 that's 6 1/4? You could have cut it down to 6 1/8. So that one's going to go there. All right, but before we put that down, we're going to doctor up this piece. I'm going to move this aside, and we're going to grab our rub-ons. Yay, rub-ons. All right, so if you've not used rub-ons before, my advice is keep the bottom sort of wax paper with the rub-ons. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to put some of the confetti along the side and the bottom of this green piece of Patterns and Solids. There's going to be about a ½ inch showing on the side and about an inch on the bottom. So I want some confetti about, I don't know, maybe ½ an inch and even less on the side. So a little bit less than that. I've stapled the backing in a couple of spots here because I'm going to take my scissors and cut what I want to go on here. I already put one little one just to make sure it shows up. If I didn't put the staple in it, my backing paper doesn't stay in place. And I want it because if you touch it with the backing paper, fine. You take the backing paper off, it gets all wonky. So I'm just gonna go in and out of this confetti. Some I'll include, some I won't. Just so it's sort of a gradual. There we go. And there we go. So now I've got the backing paper on here. I'm going to put it back in my container in the folder just so it stays nice, neat, and I guess I'm messy. You guys might not be messy, but I am. All right, so I've still got the backing paper with this. I don't need it now because I'm going to place it down on here, but be careful not to touch it. And I'm going to move it I'm going to put a piece of paper underneath it. I should do a different color. Just because I've got, what the heck is it? Texture on my surface, and I just don't want to mess it up. All right, I'm using my bone folder. I'm not using the popsicle stick that comes with it. I just prefer a bone folder. I like this flat piece. I'm just a mess. And if I try using the popsicle stick, I feel like it digs into the paper and causes indentations. It could just be me. So again, use what's comfortable for you. This confetti is easy to use, easy to put on. So I'm just gonna start at one corner, work my way. I'll probably have to add something else, another piece over there. But then when I feel like it's on, I'm gonna lift it. Oh, there's a little piece that didn't go on. I'll just go back and put it on. Perfect. Couple little pieces, but of course I didn't burnish as much over here. And that looks fabulous. I love it. Don't you love these rub-ons? I know it's hard to see, but I love them. I'm going to take this backing paper and just go back over it. Again, I don't want to dig into it, so this will sort of give me a little buffer. That is just beautiful. I'm going to take some more of the confetti rub-ons and fill in the areas that still need it. All right, now that we've done with that, then I'm going to go ahead and close all this up. I like to keep them in a drawer. I don't like them, I mean, for now I'll keep them with my other stuff. But if you were to have any left over, do your best to store it in an area without too much humidity. I mean, your best bet is just to use them up fairly quickly. That really is your best bet. Hip, hip, hooray! Hip, hip, hooray. All right. I like it. Now, I guess I could have added some more up there. I might go back later and do that. And I was going to have about an inch there showing. So anyhow, let's glue this on. And center that on here. I'm going to center this, not center it. So there's an inch at the bottom and a ½ inch at the side. So I'm going to add, oh no, wait. We need to add some paper on the back of here. We need to add the magnet and the paper. Let's add some paper on the back of there. So any scraps that you have is good for this area this time. Let me grab some and I'll show you what we're doing. Okay, I haven't glued anything down, but I want to show you that's what it's going to look like. I've cut 2 pieces from this Patterns and Solids, 4 inches long. This one's an inch wide, this is ½ an inch. I'm going to take this ½ an inch paper and just cut it about an inch and a half. I'll take this piece and turn it over, and now I'm going to put this little piece here on the top left-hand side when it's turned upside down, because some of this might show. Then I'm going to add glue to the back. Holding it by that little piece, and glue this down again about an inch from the bottom and about ½ an inch over from the sides. It's okay if you cover some of your confetti. Nah, probably shouldn't have added that much glue because there's some over here, but we're going to use that in a second. Actually, we're going to use that in just a second. So now here, I'm making sure this is at a right angle, the gusset, same here, right angle on the bottom the way we want it to. And I'm adding a dot of glue to the top of this magnet that's on here. I'm going to take this and just getting an idea where it's going to go. Put it down, but just for here, now I've got a little dot of glue there, so I know that's where I want my double-sided tape. Put that there. Peel off my backing. I'm working quick because I have some glue down on there. Eyeball it again. I guess I could have used a pencil and drawn a line. Make sure it's straight. Make sure everything's straight. And that'll pick up the magnet. So now I can take my little 1 inch by 4 inch piece and cover up the magnet. And there we go with that. And then now, one final time, add glue to the back of this. I'm going to add glue to the edge of this area that doesn't have our ribbon, or paper with the ribbon. Oops. And then I will make sure the magnet catches, make sure everything's straight, and then attach, let the glue adhere. And so there is our inside front cover. We're not done yet, but it's coming together, isn't it? Okay, now we'll open that up and let's work on this. So I have in my bag of tricks this piece, which is 6 3/8 by 4 3/8, and this piece, which is the back side of that one, 6 by 4. I'm going to glue this onto here, and then that's going to get glued onto there. Make sure it's all going to work, yes. I know you hate to add glue to something as beautiful as that, but we can use the other one somewhere in the book. It's just so cute. And center that on there, so there should be about 1/8 of an inch. I've got more on one side. Did I not cut it straight? That is very possible. And then add glue to that. Yes, you could have used the ribbon piece. That's the patterns and solids. But I didn't want any more pattern here. I wanted this cut apart sort of to stand on its own. Okay, now I have cut 5 pieces from that solids that has the ribbon on it, 6 3/8 by 1/2 inch. Before I put it down, I'm going to put it on my surface just to make sure they're all the same way. Because if I had flipped it, oops, can you tell? Yeah. And then I'm going to start at the bottom, and I'm going to adhere this to the bottom of our waterfall pieces. And I start at the bottom because I can, I'll open it up, pay attention to making sure it's all even side to side. It's especially important if you're doing a pattern. I'll start here. Now, you could add paper to your waterfall. You don't have to have these if you don't want. But I don't like to add too much to the waterfall. I do like to add something to the bottom. So this way I make sure it's lined up. But yeah, I don't like to add too much paper because I never know when you're adding the photos. By the time I'm done making the book, I can go back and add. It depends on how fat the book gets. Hear the birds? It's a sunny day. I'm in a cabin in the woods, and we'll probably hear the woodpeckers start any minute now, because they seem to come around in the early afternoon, which is what it is. Okay, there we go. So there is our waterfall. There is our, oh gosh, that's looking good. Okay, I have a couple other pieces. I'm going to take my waterfall insert that is 5 by 7 and round the corners. So you could do it either way you want. Now the final thing is, so I have this paper that is 8 3/8. You need 4 pieces that are 3/16 to cover these gussets. You could use either side, but I'm going to use this side just again for some consistency. I'll grab my little Fiskars trimmer. So I am starting at 1 1/8. So I know to get 3/16, I just subtract 3/16 from that and just cut it. So, you know, it's just going to look a little bit less than a quarter. So I'm going to go in fast motion, but I'm going to cut 4, and they will go on the inside and outside gussets on both of those flaps. And for the photo mat that's going to go in the left side pocket, this is 4 3/8 by 6 3/8, and this is 1 inch. So I cut cardstock 5 1/2 by 6 1/2, and I'm going to round the corners and put these 2 pieces on to put in the inside front cover left flap pocket. All right, so I'm just going to round 2 corners of that and the left side 2 corners of this. I mean, the other side of it is this. So when I cut off that green strip, that's what I had left. And you could use that if you wanted to. You certainly could have. So I will put that there. And I don't show you here, but I do cut 5 3/8 by 6 3/8 for the back side of this insert. There is a 1/16 of an inch gap between these 2 pieces. And now that'll go in the pocket here. And just add a little more of a decorative touch. So there we go. All right, so that's the inside front cover. For the decorating, if you want to do it now, you can. If you want to go back to it later, you can. But I did have a chipboard element, the little bunny with the presents there. I have a not chipboard, the ephemera, so the little cat with the balloon, this Hip Hooray. And I ended up cutting here at the side and gluing on here and just at the top. The bunny with the presents here from the ephemera, and that is it for any other decorating that I did on the inside front cover. All right, so now you're getting my style. We'll go a little faster in the next videos. We'll do next the front of page 1. This is a great time to hit that like button, and then I'll see you in the next video.